The rain tapped gently against the windows of a quiet home in central Amsterdam. It was the kind of afternoon that asked for warm tea and soft music, but for Lotte van Dijk, it was just another day juggling work emails and paying off lingering bills. A single mother in her late 40s, Lotte had built a modest life for her and her 17-year-old son, Milan, ever since her husband passed away 7 years ago. Milan had been quieter than usual lately, spending long hours on his phone and disappearing into his room right after school. Lotte assumed it was the usual teenage distance, the phase every parent is warned about. Still, something gnawed at her, a subtle shift in the air, like the calm before a storm. That evening, as she poured herself a cup of chamomile, she overheard something strange. Milan was in the living room, talking to someone on the phone, his voice low but clear. "It's sorted. The resort and flights to Dubai are already paid." Lotte froze. Her fingers clenched around the mug as her mind raced.
Resort?
Flights?
Dubai?
She set her cup down and peeked around the kitchen doorway. Milan's back was to her, still speaking softly. The conversation ended before she could piece together what it meant. When she asked him casually about it at dinner, he shrugged. "Just talking about a friend's plan. Nothing serious." Lotte nodded, but her unease grew. Later that night, unable to sleep, she opened her laptop and logged into her online banking. She squinted at the screen. Then she blinked, refreshed the page. Her account balance read, €34,986. Her breath caught in her throat. Clicking through the transaction history, her heart pounded with every scroll. A 5-star resort booking in Dubai. 2 round-trip business class flights. A long list of travel-related expenses. All paid using her personal bank card. The date of the booking was 3 days ago. She hadn't noticed because she'd been so buried in work and trusted that Milan had no access to her accounts. She clutched her chest, barely able to breathe. Her son, her only son, had done this? Lotte sat on the edge of her bed, the screen still glowing beside her in the dark. The room felt colder now. She didn't cry.
Not yet.
She just stared into the shadows, wondering who this boy had become and how she had failed to see it coming. She didn't know that this was only the beginning. The next morning, the silence in the house was heavier than usual. Lotte sat at the kitchen table, her laptop open in front of her. The transaction history still displayed like a scar that refused to fade. Milan stumbled in, rubbing his eyes, wearing that same hoodie he never seemed to wash. "Good morning," he muttered. Lotte didn't reply. She waited until he opened the fridge before speaking, her voice low and steady. "Do you want to tell me about the €35,000 that disappeared from my account?" Milan froze. His hand rested on the milk carton, unmoving. I don't know what you mean." Lotte turned the screen toward him. "You booked a resort in Dubai."
Flights. Tours.
"All with my card." Milan's shoulders slumped. He didn't even try to lie. "I was going to pay it back."
I swear.
I wanted to surprise you. I thought you deserved it." Lotte stared at him. "You thought bankrupting me would be a gift." He sat down, avoiding her eyes. "I've been trading crypto. It was going well. I thought I could double it before you even noticed. But then everything crashed. I panicked." The room was painfully still. Outside, bicycles zipped past on the wet street, a world moving on as hers unraveled. Lotte didn't yell. She couldn't. Her disappointment was heavier than rage. "You stole from me, Milan." He flinched. And with that, she stood up and walked out the front door, leaving him in the kitchen, surrounded by silence and shame. Underscore 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 underscore. Chapter 3. The Fallout. The tram ride to her office was a blur. Lotte could barely think, her eyes staring blankly out the window as Amsterdam's canals and brick buildings passed her by. Her thoughts circled the same questions. How did this happen? What did she miss? By the time she arrived, She had already received 2 alerts from her bank. The overdraft had triggered multiple service charges. Her credit score had begun to fall. At lunch, she sat alone at her desk, scrolling through legal forums. Could she press charges against her own son? Would she even dare? Her colleague, Saskia, approached with concern. "You all right, Lot? You look pale." Lotte hesitated. Then she told her everything. Saskia's eyes widened. "That's serious. That's not just teenage mischief. That's fraud." That word hit Lotte hard. That evening, she returned home to find Milan had cleaned the entire flat. Dinner was on the table. He looked up, hopeful, like a child seeking forgiveness. She sat across from him. "Things are going to change." He nodded. "You're not going to Dubai. You're going to work. You're going to pay back every cent." His face fell, but he didn't argue. And in that moment, she saw something in him. Fear, maybe. Or the beginning of regret. Milan's first job was at a bakery 2 tram stops away. He started every morning at 5, folding croissants and sweeping flour-dusted floors. Lotte watched him come home each evening, exhausted and quiet. She said little. The distance between them was still vast. Lotte met with a financial advisor who was brutally honest. "Even if your son pays everything back, the damage is done. You'll be digging out of this for years." She started picking up extra work, freelance translation projects, weekend admin gigs. Sleep became rare. Guilt lived in her bones. One night, as she worked late, she found a note slipped under her door. "I'm sorry, Mum. Truly. Thank you for not giving up on me. Milan." It wasn't enough. But it was something. Milan had always been clever. Too clever, perhaps. At the bakery, he met another young man, Ezra, who claimed to make thousands trading NFTs. "You've got the mind for this," Ezra told him. "Don't waste your time stacking bread." The temptation clawed at him. One win, and he could pay his mum back. Maybe even make her proud. He downloaded a trading app again. Just to look. That night, Lotte found the app on his phone. "Not again," she whispered. Milan looked cornered. "I wasn't doing anything. I just wanted to see." She took the phone and deleted it herself. "You fixed this the right way. Or not at all." Milan said nothing. But something shifted. The second chance she had given him now came with conditions. News spread quickly. Lotte's sister, Annemiek, came to visit. She had always been the critical one. "You let him get away with it," she said, sipping her coffee. "If it were my child, I'd have called the police." Lotte didn't respond. "You're too soft. He needs to learn." "He is learning," Lotte finally said. But that visit dug deeper wounds. Milan overheard them talking and barely spoke for days afterward. The guilt returned with a vengeance. And yet, they endured. Quietly. Slowly. One evening, Milan approached her with a proposal. "There's a course in digital design. It's 3 months. I can pay for it myself. If I finish it, I can get freelance jobs. Real ones." Lotte studied his face. There was hope in his eyes. And determination. She nodded. "But you finish it. No shortcuts." He smiled for the first time in weeks. The course was intense, but Milan stuck with it. Late nights, constant feedback, revisions. He shared his progress with Lotte little by little. She began to believe him again. 3 months later, he landed a small contract with a local startup. It wasn't much, but it was honest. The first payment went straight to her account. "We'll make it back. €1 at a time," he said. Lotte smiled. And for once, she believed him. Things were improving, but not forgotten. One day, while grocery shopping, Lotte's card was declined. She froze. It was a different issue this time, a bank error, but it triggered a panic attack. The past still haunted her. She sat in the car, shaking, until Milan came running. "It's all right, Mum. We'll fix it. I promise." She looked at him, this boy who'd broken her, and was now trying to rebuild. Maybe redemption wasn't a moment. Maybe it was a choice made every single day. It took 11 months. Countless shifts. Dozens of freelance gigs. But one August morning, Milan transferred the final €178 to her account. She stared at the notification. You did it. He nodded. They didn't celebrate. No grand speeches. Just 2 cups of tea, a quiet kitchen, and a weight lifted. They would never be the same. But they would be something new. A mother. A son. And a story that began with betrayal, but didn't end there.